listening to The Announcer's Table with Daryl and Ian. This podcast is presented by RingIcon.com, the social networking site for wrestlers, fans, promoters, and everything indie wrestling. Log on today and create your profile, and as always, enjoy the show.
Hey guys, this is Ian.
And I'm Daryl.
And today is Interview Wednesday.
Yep.
So who do we got on the phone?
Well, I'll build it up a little bit. I'm excited.
Okay.
You know, because I teased last week that I had a big interview coming up. I dropped the lines on RingIcon.com and on our Twitter and stuff saying, you know, I just got to confirm that we're just going to have this person on.
Yeah.
I was really excited. This is a person that we've talked about wanting to have on the show. This is a person that I've actually talked to a couple other people that we have interviewed that has said you need to have him on the show. Yeah. And so I'm very excited to have this person right here, Mr. CC Develine, on our show.
That's right.
How's it going, CC?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and let us interview you for our show. We are so excited to have you.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm excited myself. Don't thank me. The honor's all mine, brother.
All right. Well. All right, so CC, we want to get to know you a little bit. I'm going to ask you a couple background questions. Ian's going to ask some questions too. How long have you been wrestling?
This August, well, let's see, August the 16th will be 16 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
So you remember that date pretty well. Do you? You remember when you first started wrestling?
Yeah, the reason I remember that date so well is I actually had my debut wasn't an actual match. It was a run-in on one of my trainers, and the reason I remember that date is because anybody that's an Elvis fan knows that that's the date that he passed away on, and I remember right before the show telling Danny Dees, Danny, you ought to give everybody the night off. He said, why? I said, because it's the anniversary of Elvis passing away. So he just, if you've ever talked to Danny Dees, you know how he talks, yeah, brother, yeah. So he just laughed and said, look, just go out there and do your spot. We'll worry about Elvis later. So that's why I remember the date so well.
All right, and so who was it that? I think I know who it is. Who you're about to say, because if I'm not mistaken, it's the same guy you wore on your T-shirt, correct?
Yeah. The ones that trained me was Terry Lawler, Air Paris, and to me they are the original Team Extreme. I know everybody remembers Team Extreme, being the Hardy Boys, but these two guys was the original Team Extreme to me, and those two, they trained me and taught me the actual wrestling part, and Danny Dees actually trained me as far as teaching me the inner workings of the business aspect of the whole professional wrestling, in which people can say what they want to, about who they've been trained by. And I tell you, these three guys, I couldn't ask for better. And out of everybody that I could even think of, whether it be big-time stars or what, there's nobody that I would have rather had train me than, those three guys. That great, everything, they took the time with me to really, teach me, not just, okay, here's a couple of moves, go. I trained for, I think like 6 months, in Danny Dees' backyard. He had a boxing ring set up in the backyard, and boy, that thing was hard as a brick.
I would imagine.
Oh man, it was horrible. After the first night, I told them, I said, man, can we go out in the yard and take these bumps, because this ring's killing me. And it wound up, helping in the end because, they told me, they said, look, if you can, when you bump on this thing's like a pillow compared, when you get in a real ring, you'll see the difference. And then when I first, worked in an actual ring, oh man, that real ring, it felt so good. I felt like laying down and going to sleep.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, taking bumps and things like that, where are you working nowadays? Where are you wrestling?
Right now, I'm doing a show. We're doing the first and third Saturdays of the month in Cornelia, and for OSWA, which is ran by a guy named Clint Ellis. His gimmick back in the day was Highlander Johnny Walker. Doing the first and third Saturday there, and doing once a month shows in Sablia, Georgia, for New Elite Wrestling. And they're really the only places I'm working right now. And I'd love to do more, but those take up, 3 weeks, out of the month. So
yeah,
it's kind of hard.
Yeah, we know NEW is actually, in 2 weeks coming up on their 1-year anniversary show?
Yes, sir. The 24th. Gonna be a great show.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually try and make. Ian is going to be out of town, but I'm gonna try and make it up there and support it because obviously we're friends with the promoter of the show and a lot of the talent at the show, and so we want to go and show our support for an awesome year that they have had. So
yeah.
Now, I know you do training. You own your own training school. What's it called?
CNC Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
I run it with Michael Cross, and we've got like 6 students, which 2 of them were my sons. Which one of them is actively wrestling now. He's on his 35th match, and the other one, he's ready to go. We're just waiting on gear.
Okay.
So, but we've got 4 other students, and it's going pretty good.
Well, that's good. I know Ian and I have actually had the privilege of watching your son wrestle. His first couple of matches, and at the promotions that he was at, and it was really good. And we're actually going to be, which you already know this, for y'all that don't know, we're actually going to be interviewing his son because we want to get your son's take on growing up in a wrestling family, watching you wrestle all his life, being trained by you, and now starting his career as a wrestler. So we talked about that the other night, and we're like, while we're talking to Cece, let's see if we can get his son on here and talk to him for another interview day, and see what his take is on the whole business. Because I think it'd be interesting to have that fresh take of somebody just starting out and what they've just gone through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's excited, and like I said, also I've got my oldest too, and when he gets ready, y'all can interview him. But
no, absolutely,
man's doing real good. I'm proud of him for he's come a long way since his first match. I try to get him in there with guys that have already been in the business for a while and know how to be. Because it's so important to have a great ring general in there with you that can, work you along. And so I try not to put him in there, with people that, that don't know what they're doing. And when we all know, there's plenty of those.
Oh, absolutely.
But he's doing real good. Real good.
Now, I had the privilege of meeting your son in the back in the dressing rooms one time. And I got to say, he was very respectful of everybody back there.
Oh, yeah.
He came in, he shook everybody's hands when he got there, shook everybody's hand when he left. He was very nice, very respectful. And I was like, wow. And that was before I realized that was your son and that you trained him.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking, man, he was trained right by somebody old school. And so I was very impressed by his demeanor and his actions in the back.
Yeah, that's that's how I train, all of my guys. But especially him and my other son. It's so important, and that's one thing that's really lacking in our business nowadays. Just that respect, factor. And plus, that's how I was trained. By carrying, Frank and Danny. That's how I was trained. And, that's how I'm going to train people. And, if they can't, if they're not going to do it, then, I just really don't have any use for them.
Okay.
I am strictly old school. I'm not the flashiest guy. I don't ever claim to be the best wrestler. So, the old school mentality, man, is still, to me, it's still the way to go. It still works. And so why stray away from that? You know what I mean?
I agree. I completely understand that. So, well, I guess we're going to go into our 10 questions and kind of just pick your brain about some of your favorite things about wrestling, and
Okay.
and then we'll probably have some more questions for you after that.
Oh, absolutely. I want to keep talking. I want to ask you some more stuff, man. I'll start it off. What is your favorite gimmick or gimmick match?
I'm old school, man. I love the cage.
Yeah, the cage is probably one of my top favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there's just something about it. I remember, the old days watching the big blow-offs. When you're killing the angle, that cage, man, there's just something about it. And I'm talking the old school cage, chain link,
Yeah, the old rebar.
To me, there's just nothing. To me, there's nothing even comes close to that cage, man. And it's 16 years. This might be hard to believe, but I've only done one cage match in 16 years.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've never done one. I would have loved to have been in a cage.
I'd like to see you in a cage match.
But
The one that I did do, and Ian, you've been in the ring before, so you go in there, however much time you're allotted, you go in there, and you partner up with this guy, and then you get back to the back going, man, we could have done a lot more. and even 16 years, I think it's like 13 years later now. I'm still sitting there going, man, we could have done this right here. We could have done that right here.
yeah.
So, but I would love to do another one. I would do another one, in a heartbeat. But I want to do it the right way. Not like, most promotions nowadays, they just throw a cage up, just for the gimmick match. To me, that you lose all the charisma and everything, of the cage by not doing it right. I mean, anybody can throw a cage up and say, hey, we're doing a cage match. But, to me, like I said, man, it's that old school mentality. I want it to mean something before I do. I just don't want to say, hey, you're doing a cage match tonight.
Absolutely. You want it to make sense.
Yeah, it definitely takes some building up to get into a really good cage match,
Oh, yes, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, wrestling people, if you could wrestle anyone living or dead, who would it be?
Living, David Young.
Okay. Yeah.
I like it. I met him a couple of times. He's a real nice guy.
Yep. Living would have to be David Young. Never, in my 16 years, I've never actually, been in a match with him. So that would be, my first. Dead, that's a no-brainer. That would be Nightmare Ken Allen or and Ken Timms.
Who was the second one?
Ken Timms.
Oh.
Ken Timms.
Yeah, sorry, we just lost.
We just had a power failure.
Yeah, sorry. we just lost power for a second, but we should be good. But
we wouldn't have expected that. The lights just. You said Ted Allen's name and the lights went out. So that was kind of freaky. So
yeah, he has a habit of doing that. He is a very respected and very missed wrestler and man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know you wear his shirt to the ring. We're trying to get this other guy that Ian and I both like called Kyle Matthews, who actually has him tattooed on his chest. So
it's actually on his arm.
Yeah, on his heart. And so we're supposed to try and have him on in the past couple of days, but his schedule is just real busy. Yeah. So we haven't been able to do that. Now, let me ask you this. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
If we're talking mainstream, it would either be Austin or Flair.
Okay.
If we're talking in general, man, Jerry Lawler, Aaron Parrish, David Young, Bobby Hayes, Rick Justin, Jason Valentine, Dusty Dusty. Anybody can name off, the big names. But those guys, they're my favorites.
Yeah. Well, I understand that. I mean, there's a lot of
Scott Prater. Scott Prater is another
one. The man. Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites.
He was our first interview that we did.
Yeah, he.
Really? I love that dude. He, all those names that other than Austin or Flair, all the names that I named.
Yeah.
Another reason they're my favorites is because when I first broke into the business, they were there, and they helped me. I learned so much from all of those guys. Ted Allen, Ken Sims. I learned so much from these guys, and they were with me, pretty much for the first, year or two, of my career. And like I said, I learned so much from those guys just individually. You pick everybody's brain that you can when you first break in. And like I said, I learned something different from all of them.
Yeah.
Scott Prater, man, one of my best matches that I had was Scott. We done an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
In White's gym one night, and it was 105 outside and probably 140 inside, and we went an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I've been to White's gym. It's that's
where I started my career.
Whew.
And I love that place.
Yeah, well,
it's near City Hall. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw.
They remodeled the whole thing and turned it into City Hall.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
my sister was telling me about that.
Huh.
So, because well, that's where she met. My sister Amanda was married to John, and that's actually where she met John, if I'm not mistaken, was at White's gym.
Yeah,
probably was. That's a lot of us have met a lot of people at White's gym.
Yeah, and I used to go up there and watch John wrestle when him and Amanda were dating, and then Scott's my uncle, so I would go up there and watch Scott. And so I got to soak all that in, and so it's awesome to because outside of this, I get to sit down with Scott a lot of times and just talk wrestling with him, and that's always a lot of fun to talk wrestling with Scott. So
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he's a very smart man, and he's been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about Scott is he knows so much, and he tries to help. Like I said, when I first started, he would sit me down and say, hey, you could have done this, or you've done this wrong. He wasn't like, it wasn't like, a lot of guys now, a lot of the vets now, and I've heard them in dressing rooms. People, some of the younger kids would go up to them and say, hey, did you watch it? How was it? And, some of them, man, were, just flat out rude.
Yeah.
That sucked, and Scott didn't do that. And that was one thing that I was always, thankful for, with all the guys that I, broke into it, and was around, all of them helped me. They wanted me to succeed. And I really wish that a lot of the vets nowadays would take that route instead of just, I'm like, and even now when people ask me, I tell them, what they done wrong, and then I tell them, how to fix it. Not just,
Right.
Okay, this sucked, or, don't do that, or you got to explain.
Yeah.
You got to tell these kids, how to get better. And Scott was, Scott was always that way with me, and so were the other guys. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of memory and things like that, what is your favorite wrestling moment that you can remember?
Well, of course, my debut. But probably my favorite moment was Nightmare to Remember One. I got to actually manage Team Extreme against David Young and Bobby Hayes. And then later on in the show, I've done a plaque presentation to Terry, Kyle, and my sister. So that's probably my favorite right there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, now, to go kind of opposite of that, what is your most embarrassing wrestling moment that you've had?
Well, see, that's probably when you send me these questions, that's probably the one that I struggled with the most. Because if you've ever seen me, and you've ever watched me in the ring or out of the ring, I don't get embarrassed. Okay? I just don't.
That's true.
Yeah.
I go out there and have fun. But it was Valentine's Day Massacre, NAWA. And I want to say the date was February the 15th, 1998. At that time, I was still heel, and I was still with Danny D's, which we were D&D Enterprises. So Danny comes out to the ring, and he announces everybody individual. Well, when he got to my name, I come out of the curtain, and I was walking around the ring, and somebody right there at the corner of the ring had spilled pickle juice. So, as I'm walking, I turn the corner, and I go to run, to jump up on the side of the ring, and just fall, and just, bust my butt, and the crowd just went ballistic. And they loved it. And that was probably my most embarrassing moment of just, and I can remember Katie D's, everybody in the ring was just laughing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like sitting there going, well, okay, where's that kid at? I'm going to kill him. But, that was fun.
Yeah.
I bet.
Well, I guess the next one is, what is your favorite finisher or favorite wrestling move in general?
The stunner.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
I love the stunner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Daryl doesn't find it.
Yeah, I don't find it as... All right, we reviewed this DVD the other day. It's WWE's top 50 finisher moves of all time. And number one was the Stone Cold Stunner. And I just totally disagreed with it. I did not agree with that move at all, being number one.
And I agreed with it. I think the stunner is one of my top favorite moves of all time.
You know, I think, I'll pick your brain for a second, Daryl.
All right.
Why do you disagree with it?
I don't think it was that devastating of a move to be number one. I don't think it was that great. I could think of, 4 moves off the top of my head that, in my opinion, is better than the Stone Cold Stunner.
Well, surprisingly, I will agree with you. I will agree with you. There's a lot more devastating, moves, as far as that, and finishers as far as that goes. But, when you put that move with Steve Austin in that era, at that time, that's why it worked.
Yeah,
And
that's the same thing Ian said.
As good as it did. Well, I agree with you. There's a lot more devastating, moves. But I tell you, I've only had the stunner put on me like 3 times. One of them was by, I know y'all heard of a guy named Billy Black, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, his wife, Cheryl, she dropped the stunner on me one night, and just so happens, when we went down, I bit my tongue.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, man, that was painful.
Oh.
That was,
Oh.
Forget the jaw. My tongue hurt for, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I bet.
So,
You're lucky you didn't chomp it off.
Oh, man.
yeah, you know, all right.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this. What is your favorite champion of all time? And I'll clarify. It doesn't have to be a heavyweight champion. It could be Intercontinental,
Ric Flair.
United States, any tag
Ric
team.
Flair.
It doesn't matter.
He's cutting you off.
Ric
He's already
Flair.
saying it.
Ric Flair?
Ric Flair.
Okay,
Ric
you
Flair.
know, he's not my favorite, but I can't disagree with that. He's phenomenal.
Look, Flair, everybody can say what they want to about San Martino and Buddy Rogers, but you have to look, to me, you just have to look at the major, factor. Think about it. Who made that title mean more than Ric Flair?
I don't think nobody really.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People can argue, they say, well, Luthez made it mean more, San Martino made the WWF title mean more. But, man, Flair made that title mean something. And for so long, and did it so good for so long amount of time. And, like I said, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Ric Flair.
Yeah, I can't hate on that one. He's 16-time world heavyweight champion. Nobody.
Yeah.
There's a couple people close to that mark now, but he's the man. And he will always be the man.
Well, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, if you could consider, in the indies or in the pros, if you can consider somebody overrated or underrated, who do you think that would be?
Underrated, Bobby Hayes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Underrated. I've seen a lot of guys, and I still think to this day, Bobby Hayes is one of the best I have ever seen. Period. And we're talking, a whole slew of guys. We're talking Shawn, we're talking, Flair, Austin. We're talking a lot of guys. But Bobby Hayes is, to me, the most underrated, wrestler, of my time, anyway. There's just something about that guy. And I think to this day, Bobby Hayes could still, just about outperform anybody in the business, whether it be WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, anywhere.
Yeah.
Underrated, Bobby Hayes. Overrated, me.
There's a lot to name.
Yeah, I mean, that's just truthful. You know, me.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite tag team or stable?
Tag team, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. Stable, well, I mean, you know, another no-brainer, the Horseman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could tell from, you know, the Arn Anderson and Ric Flair, it had to have been
Yeah.
the Horseman.
Well, mine was the
And
Freebirds.
that's another underrated guy, too, man. Double A.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
that
think
guy's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I don't think he got enough credit for what he did. He did and still does a lot for the business.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's an agent with the WWE, and he's just
Yeah.
he's phenomenal. I mean, I hate
Yeah.
his career got cut a little short because of that injury that he had, but I mean,
Yeah.
he was fantastic.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing about Arn that really, you know, to me sets him apart from a lot of guys is anybody that's ever trained to be in this business knows how important body language is.
Yeah,
And Arn's body language was second to none. Whether he was selling or whether he was, you know, taking the heat on somebody or just in general, you know, I mean, just standing there. His body language was second to none, and to me, that's what set Arn apart from a lot of guys.
yeah, I love
You know,
watching him
I
wrestle.
tell a lot of our trainees now, you know, go watch Arn Anderson. If you really want to learn body language, watch Arn Anderson.
I loved watching him wrestle growing up.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, our last question on the list is, can you think of your favorite catchphrase of anybody in the business?
That would have to be a tie between to be the man, you got to beat the man, or oh hell yeah,
Okay, all right.
you know.
All right, well, that wraps up our 10 questions. We have every guest that comes on answer the same 10 questions just so we can kind of get a feel for them. But we want to talk to you a few more minutes, ask you a couple more questions. Now, do you have any, you said the shows that you have coming up. Is there any other shows that you would love to work on or that you wish you would have got a chance to work on that aren't around anymore?
As far as not around anymore, no. I mean, as far as it's around now, still again, no. Any show, to me, you know, any show is good to me.
Okay.
I don't have a, you know, a preference. I love them all. I mean, the you know, the indie shows is, you know, it's what makes, you know, the business go around. And
Yeah.
so, you know, any chance I could get, you know, to work on any show. I mean, you know, there's probably a few that, that I just absolutely wouldn't work on, for, you know, different reasons.
Right.
But as far as, you know, love to, no, I'd love to do them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how did you get connected with OSWA in Cornelia? I think that was right, OSWA.
Yeah.
Well, again, Clint Eller is, he's a long-time dear friend of mine. And, you know, when he was doing, you know, the Johnny Walker gimmick. And when I got back into the business, you know, a couple of years ago, just so happens, you know, he started running a show. And, you know, he'd been asking me for a while to come up. It's just, you know, I just didn't have the time. And finally, I just made time. And I love it there, man. They're running the show right. the way it should be run, as far as out front and in the back. The fans are great, and they're vocal all night long. The kids there, they've got a lot of young talent there, and they want the main reason that I started going there is because of the young talent. They want to learn.
Yeah.
And, they want to get better. And that's my job, man. As a vet, that's my job. That's what I was taught to do. Terry Lawler taught me a long time ago to, whenever I get ready to leave this business, do my best and my part to make it better than it was, make it better when you leave it than it was when you got into it. And that's what really got me, up there. But, the main reason, like I said, was Clint being such a dear friend, to me.
Yeah, I've actually spoken to Clinton. We're gonna try to get up there. We've been really busy. We haven't really made it to many shows recently, but we definitely want to get up there to OSWA.
No, absolutely.
And, you got to get up there, man. It's a great show. The funny thing is there's like 3 or 4 shows that's running in that area, and
yeah.
There is only one that is outdrawing us at OSWA, and it is not Anarchy, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Yeah, because
Nope.
Anarchy's
We're
been around
outdrawing
forever
Anarchy.
up there. But yeah, that's great. Yeah, we definitely plan on coming up there sometime in the near future.
Yeah, we keep trying to put it on the calendar, and it's just it hasn't happened because our schedules just won't line up right now.
I understand.
Yeah.
But all right, well, you know what, CC, I want to thank you so very much for being on the show, lending us some of your time and your knowledge, and we look forward. We're going to interview your son in the next couple of weeks coming up, so we look forward to talking to him as well, getting his perspective on how he thinks the business is going. So thank you so much for being on.
Like I said, the honor is all mine. I'm just glad, and happy to still be in the business. I've had a total of 7 spine surgeries.
Wow.
So I'm not really even supposed to be in that ring, and once it's in your blood, it's there. And of course, I got to be careful. I'm limited in what I can do, and I know what my body can handle. So I'm just happy to be still being able to perform, in front of, the fans and everything. So
Yeah.
the honor's all mine, guys.
All right, hey, listen.
I'm proud of what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe I'll come out and take some bumps on your ring one night or something.
Hey, send us your information for your training school so we can put it up with your interview video, so that way if people are interested in contacting you about future training and stuff like that, you can talk to them.
Yeah, like I said, it's called CNC Wrestling Academy. We're on Facebook. Right off the top of my head, I don't know the address. But we run it here at my house, and our phone numbers and everything are on there.
Okay.
Or you can, contact me, on my personal Facebook page.
All right. Well, we'll put that information up so people can know how to get a hold of you. And once again, thank you so very much, sir.
Hey, no problem. Like I said, the honor's all mine, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that was CC Develine,
Yeah.
and I think it was a great interview.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know how I missed him when I was wrestling. I think we were in the same locker room once or twice, but I didn't quite get to know him that well because I was doing the same show mostly. But just meeting him in the shows that we've been to since we started Ring Icon, he's been a big help for us, and he's been a great instructional.
Now he has
person.
a very comedic kind of style of wrestling.
Yeah.
He's very funny when he wrestles, and just the way because he's not very tall. He's
Right.
I don't know, 5'4" or something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Probably,
I mean, he's not very tall. He's actually pretty short. And I know people give him a hard time about being short, but he gets in there, and we had some video up of him wrestling, but the power flickered and threw some stuff out. So, but we're going to be talking to his son in a couple of weeks, and so I'm curious to see how what his perspective is.
Yeah, so, I'll be interested in seeing how it is growing up in a wrestling family like that. So.
All right, well, this has been Interview Wednesday on the announcer's table.
Yeah, with CC Develine. So look below if you want to get his contact information or check out some of his videos. So until next week.
Yeah.
This is the announcer's table.
Yeah, until Friday on the pros.
Yeah.
See you.
See you.